Jeep is storage. I mean, they're just not big vehicles. So I guess that's why the 4-doors are so popular these days. But with the older ones, this is my 91 YJ. Got a couple of solutions for storage. I'm going to show one of them today. This one is in the back, and you take the rear seat out. If you don't have a use for the rear seat, this will add quite a bit to it. There's some very, very expensive solutions for this kind of a thing that you can buy on the market. This is a pretty inexpensive way to do it, and I think you actually get a better solution. So I'll show you some of the details.
Alright, so I've got the back opened up on the Jeep here. And as you can see, what I've built is really a big shelf across the back. This sits on the wheel wells. The YJ, it's got nice squared off wheel wells that make this pretty easy. TJ, maybe a little out of luck, make it much more difficult. And as I've stated earlier, things like this are available online, but doing it yourself, you can customize it quite a bit. What you start with is a 4x4 piece of 3/4 inch plywood. That's thick and strong enough to spread this gap and not flex. And this is 4 feet wide, so it's 48 inches from this side to this side, so you don't even have to trim it. The only trimming you have to do on that side to side is here at the roll bar where it comes down. You just got to trim it about a 1/2 inch on both sides, and that gives you just enough room to wedge it in here. When you put the carpet in, it wedges up real nice and tight. You do that on both sides. So now that you've got that on both sides trimmed, you're really kind of ready to go in terms of setting this in terms of a shelf. Now, some of the things I did to make this better than just a big piece of wood, number one is carpeting it. And this is just a simple black carpet kit you get at Home Depot. It works out pretty good. It doesn't quite cover the entire bottom of it, but it comes close enough. The other thing is I've got these hardware little tuck-away hooks. These are great. One, they're flat, so when you got things on top, they're not in the way. They also hold down the carpet really well. So once you router out the board a little bit for the insert, you can then carpet it, glue down the carpet, all that, and then cut the carpet, install this with the 4 screws, and that locks it down really nice and tight, so the carpet's not going anywhere. I've also done a netting like you get in the back of a modern SUV, and set it up so I can tie this down on all 4 corners and hold my things in the back, so when you're wheeling or you got the top down or whatever, nothing's going to come flying out. Now, one of the things that I figured out that really makes this a much better addition is how to secure it. So what I use down here on the bottom is a handle for a fence post or a fence handle. And this is the size that you need to get in order to get the buckle through. If you get something really small, you're not going to be able to get the buckle through, and you're going to have a problem. This works out fine. It moves, so it can lay flat when you've got it out of the Jeep. But you just run the seatbelt through that. This secures with a couple of screws, 4 screws. Run the seatbelt through, tighten it up nice and tight, and when you do that, this is not going anywhere. At that point, you can close and lock the gate, and with the gate closed, nobody's going to be able to get underneath there. You've actually got some secure storage. So front to back, you're looking at 34 inches. And that runs just about the right, perfect length, and it allows you to have the nice drop down in the front. So I'll show that to you here in just a second. But that also allows you to get that in right behind the latch, and it fits up just right. All right, so now we're over on the passenger side, behind the passenger seat, where you can kind of see how this sets up in the back. What you've got is a second piece of your top. So you got 34 inches on the top up here. This piece from here to here is 12 inches. So you end up with a 2-inch sliver that you're not using. But this combination of the 34 inches and the 12 inches works out perfect. What you're going to do is as you slide this into the vehicle, into the Jeep, you're going to let this piece pivot down and drop in. The reason it's going to pivot is because you've got 2 hinges connecting the 2 pieces. So just a good old fence hinge, kind of medium weight, one on each side will give you enough strength and hold it together. So as you drop this in, it'll pivot down and wedge between the roll bar and the wheel well. And that 12-inch length will take you right to the edge of the step-up for the back of the Jeep. This works out perfect. This is as secure as you can get. This just doesn't want to go anywhere. It's wedged in there nice and tight with the belt in the back and everything. Nobody can get in there. So not only is it out of sight, out of mind, but really somebody wouldn't be able to get to anything underneath there if they needed to. You also can see I've got 2 speakers installed, a natural place to put them. Easy to wire them up there from the front with a quick disconnect, so that when I do take this out, it's easy to disconnect them, take the whole thing out, and then put it all back in, reconnect it up pretty easy. So with the combination of the rear gate locked, the top buckled down with the seat belt, and the front portion wedged into the front, this is a totally secure trunk area now. So this works out really, really well. Alright, so the last kind of part of this is how you take this in and out. It's not really difficult. I'm not going to do it right now because it's pretty straightforward, but once you unbuckle it, disconnect your speakers if you had some speakers, you just reach down underneath, lift it up, and what you're going to want to do is tilt it to one side because the bars are, you know, straight, so you got to get it up and out of the way because we had to do the cutouts over on the sides. So tilt it, you just get a little bit of a tilt, nice lift, and you can get it out. A couple of the tricks. One, do it with the top up and open like this because when you put the top down, the bars get in the way. Second thing is a second set of hands can be pretty handy, but it's definitely doable as it is. It's just kind of a little bit heavy and kind of unwieldy because of the size. But this is something you could take in and put back in, take out and put back in on a regular basis if you wanted to. I will also add that the down underneath, you can see here, I've got the hinges mounted. You can see the speakers mounted up in there. You can also tell that the carpet doesn't quite fit all the way around. Not really a big deal. Got some other storage. I'll probably do something about that later. Explain that storage piece that I had there as well. Hopefully this project will help you out. Come up with some ideas for customizing your Jeep and making it the Jeep that you really want.